folks, it's Jeanette, your personal diabetes coach. If you are looking for a non-judgmental, non-boring diabetes coaching, then you're in the right place. If you're new here and you like what you see, go ahead and click the subscribe button and ring that little bell so you know when I upload new coaching content. Today, we are going to make lunches for our first week of Veganuary. Let's get started. Welcome back. I went ahead and got everything out that we need to make our first week of lunches for Veganuary. This week we are going to be having a salad. I love salads. It also helps to have something a little more fresh in a week when you're having something a little more dense for dinner. Like this week we're having vegan macaroni and cheese. So I've gotten everything out that we're going to need to make our first week of vegan lunches. This week we're having salads. The first thing you need for a salad is the actual salad greens. Today I am using baby kale and then a mix of spinach and arugula. These are two of my favorites. I specifically love arugula because it gives salads a bit of a spicy flavor, but you can use whatever salad greens that you prefer. I also have some red bell peppers and some cucumbers that I'm going to chop up and just put in there fresh. I am going to sprinkle some hemp seeds on top. This is going to help give it a little more body and also bump up the amount of protein and healthy fats that we have in the salad. We are also going to put some garbanzo beans and some quinoa on our salad to kind of bulk it up a little bit and give us some more protein and fiber. Finally, we're going to make a homemade salad dressing with just some olive oil, balsamic vinegar, garlic. Finally, we are going to make a homemade salad dressing with olive oil, balsamic vinegar, garlic. Keep forgetting what it's called. Finally, we are going to make a homemade salad dressing using olive oil, balsamic vinegar, garlic, ginger, some Dijon mustard, and salt and pepper. It's a really easy salad dressing, and you can mix it up a little bit and put more of something you like and less of something that you don't like in it. The first thing I need to do is get some garbanzo beans soaking. I like to use dried garbanzo beans, and the best way to cook those is to let them soak for about 5 or 6 hours, preferably overnight, and then cook them. And that just significantly cuts down on the cooking time. You can also cook them in an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker without soaking them if you have one of those, but I unfortunately do not. I am also going to prepare my quinoa. I like to just boil the quinoa until it's done and then pour all the excess water out and steam it just to open it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more fluffy. I am going to go ahead and prepare my beans and my quinoa and get everything cut up, and then we will meet back here to make our salad dressing and then put it all together for the week. Now I have the cucumbers and the peppers all cut up and put into these containers, and then I can use out of these containers to portion out each one of my salads. I typically don't cut up an entire week's worth of vegetables all at once, so you'll see here I still have a red pepper whole and I still have a cucumber whole. So midweek I'll chop those up and then prepare my salads for the rest of the days a little bit later. That's just to try to keep things a little bit on the fresher side. I also got everything together for our salad dressing, so let's go ahead and make that now. What you're going to need is olive oil, balsamic vinegar, a little bit of Dijon mustard, garlic, ginger, and salt and pepper. I like to make my salad dressings in a jar. I just kind of put everything in there and then shake it up, and I just use it out of this jar each day. The first thing we're going to do is open up our jar. I am going to crush my garlic. You can certainly chop the garlic if that's your preference. I really like garlic, so I don't mind a really strong garlic flavor. If you don't want a strong garlic flavor, then I definitely recommend going ahead and mincing it rather than crushing it. So I'm just going to go ahead and crush my garlic right into this jar. This is about 2 cloves of garlic. You can do more or less depending on your taste. So first. Now we're just going to put a little bit of ginger in our salad dressing. One little trick with ginger is I usually just keep it in its kind of whole chunk form. You can take a spoon and just kind of scrape off the skin of the ginger in one spot, and then use that spot to grate a little bit of ginger into whatever you're cooking. Ginger is a pretty strong flavor, so you want to be careful with how much you use. I really like it, so I use quite a bit, but you might want to start with just a little bit if you're not sure if you like ginger, if you don't like ginger that much. And just like with anything, when you're making your own, you can even leave it out if you just don't want it in there. I'm just going to use this little microplane to plane some in. And just like with the garlic, if you prefer a little bit more of a subtle flavor, you can just mince the ginger into the jar to get just a little bit of a kind of a subtler ginger flavor. And then I'm going to be honest, I don't have much of a system. I usually just start throwing everything else in. So I'll just put some olive oil. I really like the flavor of olive oil, so that's why I use it. You can use any plant-based oil, grapeseed oil, or whatever oil that you think tastes the best. And now I am just going to put some balsamic vinegar. I like balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I'll use red wine vinegar. So any oil, any vinegar is going to make you an oil and vinegar dressing. And it's really the other things that you put into it where you're really going to get the flavor. I would say probably about half and half olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Then the Dijon mustard can be pretty strong. And it sometimes almost overpowers some of the other flavors. So I just put a little bit in, just a very little bit, just to impart a little bit of that mustard flavor. Finally, I like to put just a little bit of maple syrup, not a lot. You do not have to put this in. I just find that giving it a little bit of sweetness just helps balance out some of the acid flavor from the balsamic vinegar and just makes it a more well-rounded salad dressing. And then let's see, we're gonna put some pepper in there. As much or as little as you like. Clearly, I like a lot. That seems to be the theme here. I like a lot of everything. Put some salt in there. And then we are just going to put the lid back on and give it a good shake. And that's it. Our dressing is done. And then you can just put this in the refrigerator and use it for the rest of the week on your salads. When I'm going to work, I will usually portion out my salad dressing. It's also a good idea, that way you don't get too much. I have these little containers. I don't remember where I got them, but I think I just got them at the grocery store. They are 2 tablespoon containers, so they're very, very small. And they are perfect for 2 tablespoons of dressing, which is pretty reasonable for a big salad like we're going to make. Remember, this salad dressing is really flavorful, so you don't need a ton of it. If you're going to be taking it to work with you, I definitely recommend portioning out your salad dressing separate and putting it on your salad right before you eat it. Now we're just waiting for our quinoa to cook and our beans to soak and cook, and then we'll meet back up here and meal prep some of our salads. So now pretty much everything is done. I'm still waiting on my garbanzo beans, which are soaking currently. I'm going to cook those up tonight and then add it into my prepared salad later. So we're going to start off with our salad greens. And with salad greens, it doesn't really matter how much you put in. Adding more or less isn't really going to change the calories or really the carbohydrates too much. So I think I said I was just going to do about a cup or 2 of each. You definitely want a really big bowl for this. I don't have a lot of really large bowls, which is another reason why I don't meal prep every day, but I also don't want things to get stale or mushy in there. So you're going to start off with a bunch of salad greens, as much as you want. Then I have, for the calories and the carbs and everything, to put a half a cup of red bell peppers and a half a cup of cucumbers. But again, You can add kind of more or less based on what you like. It's not going to make that much of a difference. So I'm just going to get, I don't know, about a half a cup of cucumbers and put those in. And then about a half a cup of bell peppers and put those in. And then for the quinoa and the garbanzo beans, it's also a half a cup of each one of those. That's where you're really gonna get kind of that satisfying part. You know, if it's just lettuce and vegetables, you really feel like you didn't eat all that much. But putting in the quinoa, putting in the garbanzo beans, and adding the dressing is really gonna make you feel like you had a pretty satisfying meal. So I'm just gonna do about a half a cup of the quinoa. It's still a little hot, but we're just gonna pop that right here on the side. I like to keep them a little bit separate just because I like the way that it looks, but you can just mix them all together if that's your preference. So then once my garbanzo beans are done, I am going to add it to this as well. In addition to all of these items, we are going to put a tablespoon of hemp seeds. Hemp seeds, they're not really crunchy like a seed, but they do add a little bit of texture, which I really enjoy. So we're just going to get a tablespoon of these and just sprinkle it right on top, and it'll just all get mixed in when I mix it all up together. And then finally, I'm going to portion out my salad dressing. Again, I have these little containers that I like to put it in, and I will usually just put it in this container and drop it right in the same container that I prepped my salad in. So we're going to give it a good shake since it's been sitting in the refrigerator. We want to get all those garlic pieces and ginger pieces all mixed up. The longer this salad dressing sits in the refrigerator, the better it gets, I promise. I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons. So 2 tablespoons of this dressing is what I used to determine the calories and everything for this meal. So look, isn't that perfect? These little containers are the best. If you can find them, I definitely recommend that you get some, like a couple sets, because they are really good for this exact sort of thing. And then I'll just pop that right in there. Again, I'm gonna add the garbanzo beans once they're done. If I had some canned garbanzo beans, I would just throw them on there and not worry about soaking the dried ones, but I don't have any on hand, so I'll wait for the dried ones. I'm just going to pop the lid on that, and the salad is going to be ready to go. I will sometimes prep 2 salads at a time, but if you really want kind of the freshest situation, you might just want to prep everything, get it in containers, and then prep each salad just the day before you're going to need it. Or if you're not taking it to work, you can always just prep it the day you're going to eat it or right when you're going to eat it. So I'm going to set this aside and let's go over some of the numbers for this meal. Okay, I didn't calculate the fiber. Hold on. So the amount of calories in a portion about like I just prepared now is 438 or so. Most of those calories actually are coming from the salad dressing. So if you want to add some more veggies or some more greens, you can definitely do that without adding a whole lot of calories. If you add a little bit of extra beans or quinoa or dressing, it's going to increase those calories more, especially the dressing. This prepared meal has about 44.2 grams of carbohydrate, 14.8 grams of protein, 33.4 of fat, and 10.3 of fiber. Most of that fiber is coming from the beans. So beans, they're a carbohydrate, but boy, do they really pack a punch with the fiber. So if we take the grams of carbohydrate, which is 44.2, minus the fiber, your body is seeing about 34 grams of carbohydrate for this meal. So you would definitely want to take that into consideration if you're dosing insulin for this meal. Keep in mind with this recipe, as with all of the others, if you need a little more calories in your diet, you can definitely add additional ingredients that we already talked about or other ingredients. You know, and a lot of times when you're meal prepping, you can get a little bored eating the same thing every day. So you can always switch it up by adding different things. Sometimes I might add some raspberries to the salad or some sunflower seeds. So you can definitely do that as well. Well, hopefully you found this helpful. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up so other people can find it too. And we'll see you next time. Bye!